Unique sets of twins who defied the odds. Cohen and Tuan Stewart. Is it possible for twins to be half-brothers? Cohen and Tuan Stewart are just that. After a somewhat botched IVF treatment, it was discovered that another man's sperm had been mixed in, and that one of the boys had a different biological father than his twin brother. It appears that a piece of lab equipment was used twice, something the hospital called a deeply regrettable mistake. The Stewarts, however, loved both children and wanted to raise them together. Alicia and Jasmine Singer. You probably wouldn't know that Alicia and Jasmine were twins. That's because Alicia's eyes, skin, and hair are dark, while Jasmine has blue eyes and light skin and hair. They were born to a mother of Jamaican English descent. Experts claim that this is a rare case where the eggs contain genes for predominantly one skin color instead of a combination, as is the case with most mixed-race babies. One school with 40 twins. At one point, a secondary or middle school in England had 20 sets of twins. 20! This breaks the world record, of course. Teachers have an especially hard time telling them apart because every student wears an identical uniform. Twin mania. Now this is crazy. Twins Diane and Darlene Nedemeyer went to the annual Twin Day Festival in Twinsburg, Ohio. There they met twins Craig and Mark Sanders. Diane and Craig started dating, and Darlene and Mark started dating. They got engaged on the same day, married in a joint ceremony, and lived next door to each other. Craig and Diane went on to have identical twin boys of their own. We're all twinned out. Paula Bernstein and Elise Shine. These twins were adopted at birth by separate parents, just like the Jims. They met for the first time at age 35 and realized that both studied film in college and were writers. They also found out that they were deliberately separated for a study on nature versus nurture, though this was hidden from their adoptive parents. The researcher decided to scrap his research knowing it would be criticized, but these two are as close as can be. Amy and Katie Elliott. Twins Amy and Katie Elliott were born exactly 87 days apart, a record amount of time between the birth of twins. Amy was born prematurely, an entire 4 months early, and was followed 3 months later by her younger sister Katie. Talk about defying the odds. Linda and Terry Jameson. Psychic twins Linda and Terry claim to have predicted the September 11th attacks on the United States 2 years ahead of time. They also predicted that JFK Jr. would die in a plane crash. The record is less than stellar, however. They thought that Pope John Paul would die in 2004 and that Saddam Hussein would die in 2003. Tamara, Rabi, and Adriana Scott. These twins were born in 1983 in Mexico and were given up for adoption. They were adopted into families who lived only 20 miles apart but didn't know each other until age 20, when their mutual friends kept getting them confused. They were introduced, and the rest is history. Amy and Ashley Nelson. Talk about an exciting New Year's Eve for twins Amy and Ashley Nelson, who gave birth to their respective sons within a 2-hour span in an Akron, Ohio hospital. Their due dates were a week apart, but Amy gave birth to her son Donovan at 12:11 p.m. on New Year's Eve, and his cousin Aiden arrived for Ashley at 2:03 p.m. Brian and Ross Duvall. Getting a perfect ACT score is darn near impossible, but in 2008, these twins both scored a perfect 36. Score 1 point for nature. Chang and Eng Bunker. The most famous set of conjoined twins lived in the 19th century and were named Eng and Chang Bunker. The two twins were connected at the sternum solely by a piece of cartilage, and their bodies were completely independent of each other. Born in Siam, these two brothers are the source of the common term Siamese twins that is given to conjoined twins. Rosa and Josefa Blazek. These remarkable twins were joined at the pelvis. By all accounts, the two had very different personalities, with Rosa being more outgoing and witty, while Josefina was reserved. At the age of 31, Rosa gave birth to a healthy baby boy. The twins would remain joined for their whole lives until they died 12 minutes apart of influenza. Jim Lewis and Jim Spencer. Jim L. and Jim S. were separated at birth when they were put up for adoption and met for the first time at 39. Pretty normal story until you find out that they were both named Jim and they both had married twice, first to women named Linda and then to women named Betty. Both had childhood dogs named Toy. Their sons were named James Allen and James Allen, respectively. Both worked as sheriff's deputies, had the same favorite beer and cigarettes, and even drove the same car. Oldest mother to give birth to twins. Omkari Panwar, age 70, and her husband, age 77, were desperate for a male heir and gave up many possessions to participate in a very expensive IVF procedure. Their prayers were answered when Panwar gave birth to premature but healthy twins, a boy and girl by caesarean section. Abigail and Brittany Hensel. Abigail and Brittany Hensel are conjoined twins connected entirely from the neck down, meaning that they have two heads and one body. The two of them each have separate sets of organs and control their own half of the body by themselves. Basic activities such as walking, swimming, driving, and even brushing their hair requires high levels of teamwork and cooperation.